Welcome to the National Mississippi River Museum, and specifically at our Bayou habitat. My name is Wayne Buckholtz. I'm one of the lead educators here, and I want to visit with you today for a few minutes about our North American alligator. Before I get really to her, I want to talk more about where she would live. I just mentioned the word bayou. Think of a bayou as kind of the same thing as a wetland up here in the Midwest. It's a slow-moving body of water that is doing really three things. One, it's helping to control erosion or control the sediment that's coming out into the water. As it's moving slowly, that erosion, that silt is going down to the bottom and filtering out into the bayou. It helps control the flooding. It helps to take nutrients out that is going to be coming in off the land to a part to where it's not a bad thing in the Mississippi River or maybe the coastal areas of the Gulf of Mexico. And the last thing that a bayou is going to do is really serve as a nursery for a lot of animals to come and have their young. It's a place where animals can come and hide, come and get food. When I'm talking about bayous, I'm talking about down in like the states of Louisiana, Alabama, maybe the Everglades. An area where an abundance of different animals. There's mammals down there, the endangered Louisiana black bear. There's a bull snake that's endangered. Host of reptiles, amphibians. The biggest category throughout the year is birds, and so if you're a big birder, a bayou is possibly a place where you want to go during the winter months when birds are congregating down there during the winter, coming from the north to spend and then come back during the springtime. Because there's such a large number of animals there's one animal that many of those depend on, and that is the North American alligator. It's what we call a keystone species, in that if it were to go extinct, for example, or just very, very low numbers, other animals would also start dying off with it. And so a keystone species actually contributes by providing sometimes maybe some kind of a habitat. And in the case of the alligator, there's two things that it does. One is it builds a huge nest where it's going to be laying her eggs. There's animals that actually live in those nests that aren't going to affect the eggs. They're not going to eat the young, and so they coexist together. And then the other thing that an alligator does is dig tunnels, and there's been some documented as much as 65 feet long. They use those to brumate. You're asking, what does that mean? Think of it like hibernation, which we think of a lot of animals doing. Snakes, turtles, their body temperature drops when the air or water temperature does. Their body temperature drops, which means their metabolism also goes down, their heart rate, breathing slows down. So they are going to be going in underneath the mud. They might be going underground where it doesn't freeze, and that's where they're going to spend. Hibernation is they are going to go into a deep sleep, not wake up until the temperatures change and get warmer. An alligator, on the other hand, brumation is when they go into that deep sleep, but they may wake up really at any time to go feed. And so if you go into those tunnels and want to do some research, maybe tag them, if you're a biologist, they could wake up possibly at any time. They're going to be sluggish because their body temperature is down, but they're also going to be something that you want to be getting away from. There's actually two different kinds of alligators in the world. The North American, which is doing very well now. At one time it was endangered. And the Chinese alligator. Both of those have wide snouts. Whereas the crocodile has a narrow snout, actually maybe coming almost to a point, kind of a rounded point, but very, very narrow. And so the chances of seeing a crocodile, which are living in, one species lives in Florida, chances of seeing them are kind of slim. they're there, but you have more of a chance seeing an alligator. So, alligator, as I mentioned, at one time was endangered. You'll read reports that it's still on the endangered species list. The reason it's not is the numbers are high, and the reason you might hear that it is on there is because there's some difficulty in telling the difference between an alligator and crocodile at first glance, but if you look really close, it's not that hard. The other question is she alive? She's doing exactly like she would be doing out in the wild, and that is virtually not moving at all. If you come during the winter time, our water temperatures drop down in the lower 60s, which causes her metabolism to slow down. So she's going to be moving a lot less because her breathing, her heart rate is down because of the cold water. Out in the wild, there's still going to be doing the same thing. When the water temperatures warm up, she's still not going to move much because the more they move, the more they need to eat. And what she's doing is just hanging out, and really all you're going to see is her two eyes and her nostrils sticking up above the water. And she's just kind of floating there as a log, or she may be pointing into the shoreline. So if you're walking along the shore, be careful, because she's waiting to come out and come after what it might be a deer, it might be a raccoon, it might be a great blue heron that's walking along the shore, and she's ready to move. I'd like to compare a little bit between them and us, some of the differences. And the largest alligator recorded has been 1,000 pounds. Normally they're about 500 to 600 pounds. The males are a little bit heavier. They're a little bit longer. They can get up to about 11 feet. Mama here is right at the average for female. She's about 8 foot long and around 200-300 pounds. So she's right on average. Look at humans, we got variations, but on average we're about 6 foot maybe, if you look at adults, and so they're much larger than we are. If you look at speed, we could outrun an alligator if we're doing a 5K. We run about 35 miles an hour, I think is the record on a 5K, which is 3.5 miles. But an alligator, if you're going on a sprint, they're much faster than what we are. So a question we get here is often what does she eat and how often? During the winter, she may eat once a month, if that, because of the temperature of the water, and more so during the summer. They'll often feed her a whole rabbit. These are not alive. We buy all of our food frozen from special places. But rabbits, maybe it might be a fish. I've seen them throw squid in there. A lot of different things that she's going to feed on. Sometimes it's not the whole thing, it's pieces. They're also at the same time feeding the alligator snapping turtle that's in there, and also some small fish. So she gets a variety, but it has to have the fur, the bones, the meat, the whole works. That helps to make sure her digestive system is working properly. I want to talk a little bit about their teeth. So we've got one here that you can look at. We on average have, as a kid growing up, we have about 20 teeth in our mouth. We then get our adult teeth, as we call them, and we're going to have upwards around 35. That's the last set we're going to get. If you lose a tooth, you go buy one from a dentist. An alligator, on the other hand, is going to have around 70 to 80 teeth in its mouth. If it loses one, they've been known to have upwards to 3,000 teeth during a lifetime. So they don't lose them. They're losing them because of the animals that they're eating. It might be, again, a deer, and they're biting down on bone, and they're going to break a tooth off, but they can grow them back again. So a very tough animal. Just flip it over here. You can see the snout kind of wide and so forth. And so you can see the two eyes and the nostrils. That again is what you're going to be seeing sticking up above the water. The rest of her really looks like a log out there. They're also known for being able to stay underwater for a long time. Us, we really need to have a scuba diving outfit on. Some people can go down and train their bodies to stay under, for 3-5 minutes at a time. They're unusual as a reptile in that reptiles have a 3-chambered heart. They have a 4-chambered heart just like we do. The exception is they have 5 valves instead of 4. Our valves are set up that we are constantly sending our blood through our lungs to keep oxygen supply going, which we need to stay alive. The alligator has a 5th valve, which bypasses the lungs and just is pumped directly back out into the body, which still has oxygen in it. So that's one of the ideas as to why they can stay underwater so long. And here, the longest I've seen her since I've been working here has been 30 minutes underwater. She could even stay under there much longer, especially I would guess if she's in the wild, she's going to be able to stay under there much, much longer. Just some cool facts about them. Again, she's a species that is a keystone species that is a very important animal out in the wild. She was endangered back in the 30s, 40s, and in the 50s, just like a lot of other animals unfortunately were. You can kind of think of her as the American bison up here in the Midwest, which was an animal that almost went extinct, and a lot of other animals depend on the bison out there grazing on the ground, tearing things up. The alligator is kind of the same way. So I hope you learned a little bit about the North American alligator. If you're down in Louisiana, Alabama, and so forth, go out and look for them. Be careful during any time of the year because they are out and about. But come here and to the National Mississippi River Museum and check out the alligator in our bayou here. So with that, I want to show you one last thing, and that is comparing me to a full-size alligator, the size of the skull. So with that, see you later, alligator.